Rise and shine, everyone. Thank you for watching Sunrise here. Jason and Alicia with you. A lot to talk about this morning, including, as you heard there from John, some severe weather chances later this afternoon.
Yeah, let's get right to John this morning. When is this going to hit us here in the Twin Cities?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to hit us in the Twin Cities this evening after what's going to be a beautiful day, but it's what's going to happen in southwest Minnesota. We'll be watching. So 43 degrees out there now. Beautiful shot here, actually clearing the clouds. You can see that as we speak. Now, those clouds held us in the 40s, but you can see a little cooler where it's been clear overnight in Marshall and Wilmer. So even if it's a chilly start, we should be able to warm up pretty quickly here. 1 o'clock, we're going to be in the middle 50s, getting to 60 degrees. We'll be watching those temperatures closely because if we only land at 65 or let's say 66, that's probably not going to be enough for severe weather, but we know it's going to rain no matter what. 5 to 7 o'clock will be wet. We'll be dealing with downpours. So the question is, where's the severe threat? Now, you'll see the slight risk mainly in southwest Minnesota. The worst of this still in Iowa. We'll talk about the threats and the hazards with these storms later on this afternoon. Cece?
Good morning. As promised a few minutes ago, popped up this traffic incident in Bloomington. You can see here on this ramp a car with its hazards on. It's at the entrance ramp from 98th Street, so right before you hit 35W northbound. So as you can see here right now, you can still take that exit ramp, but just watch out for that car if you're in that area. Also, there's some construction happening across the metro. I'll be popping that up in some road work, but as you head out the door within the next few minutes, if you see something out on the road or if you want to know how your commute will look this morning, reach out to me on social media. Let me know. Hashtag Cece's Commute.
Cece, thank you. Our top story here this morning, 12 buildings at the U of M will remain closed today as protests continue on campus.
That decision from the U within the past 7 hours. And these are major buildings, things like the library, as students prepare for finals just 2 days from now. Michelle is live at the U with more on what's happening and what you're seeing out there this morning, Michelle.
Yeah, Jason, Alicia, take a look right here behind me. The encampment here, there's about 30, at least 30 of these tents set up. Since day has really broken out this morning, we have seen more people, more students coming out of these tents with their backpacks. You can see one with a blanket over their heads coming out of the tent right now. And this is really nearly 15 hours since these students have been out here at Northrop Mall. Now, students are 48 hours out from finals and days away from graduation, but the impact goes beyond just students, reaching staff too. In a late night notice, the U said it'll keep closed a dozen buildings around the protests. Students are supporting Palestinians and fighting for the university to divest in groups doing business with Israel. The U says it's acting out of safety concerns, barring people from two of the U's most visited buildings, the Kauffman Memorial Union and Walter Library.
It clearly shows that they're trying to put pressure on the student protesters because they don't want us here, right? They want to make it as difficult as possible for us to stay out here. They want to make us trek out a mile plus to get to bathrooms. They want us to have to scramble to gather resources.
Now, you just heard from Emily, who we met earlier today. However, at this time, we are hearing from more students that really all this, they're citing moments in history like the Vietnam War when university students really spoke out about their beliefs. And so they're hoping to affect that kind of change as well. Meanwhile, you noted in their memo that there are no classes here today, of course, with finals starting in 48 hours. If there are other activities and events scheduled in these buildings around us, a dozen other buildings around us, those events will have to be moved to another location or moved to a different date or time. Guys, back to you.
Okay, we'll see how things unfold in the coming days and weeks. Michelle, thank you very much. These protests have been growing on campuses across the country. This is brand new video from overnight at Columbia University. Protesters there broke into a building in the last 5 hours after the university tried to disband their efforts. The university is now saying these students are risking suspension or expulsion. And in the last 24 hours, hundreds of students gathered at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, building an encampment on campus. They're also calling for UW's divestment from the State of Israel. University officials say once the group complies with campus policy and removes their tents, then they will meet to discuss their demands.
All right, time 6:05 here on your Tuesday. We are following new developments overnight out of Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where 8 law enforcement officers were ambushed and shot in the line of duty. 4 of them have died. The other 4 are hospitalized. Our Audrey Russo is here with the very latest this morning. Good morning, Audrey.
Good morning, Alicia. This morning, we're seeing pictures of 3 of the 4 officers who were killed in the attack. Sam Peloche and Alden Elliott were both on the fugitive task force that was carrying out this warrant. And Charlotte-Mecklenburg police officer Joshua Ayers died late last night, we're learning, from his injuries. Now, there is a third officer who was on the regional task force who was killed, and he has not been identified yet. Now, this morning, police confirmed that the suspect who started shooting at the officers, Terry Clark Hughes Jr., is also dead. Police say he's a felon who should have never had a gun in the first place. In fact, the task force showed up to his house because of a firearms warrant. Now, overnight, President Biden released a statement on the shooting saying more needs to be done to protect officers. He said, quote, "That means funding them so they have the resources they need to do their jobs and keep us safe. And it means taking additional action to combat the scourge of gun violence now." And he went on to say that he's pushing for Congress to pass more gun control legislation. Now, right now, police believe there may have been a second shooter involved in this incident. The investigation will continue amid intense mourning in Charlotte. Coming up, we'll hear from the city's mayor as she reacts to this act of violence. Jason, Alicia.
All right, Audrey, thank you. Back here at home, a judge is not dismissing a murder case against Minnesota State Trooper Ryan Longegren, but a new prosecution team is taking over the case, and some of them are former federal prosecutors. Longegren's charged with shooting and killing Ricky Cobb II during a traffic stop last summer. Ahead of yesterday's hearing, a crowd of around 300 supporting Longegren cheered as he entered. Outside of the government center, Cobb supporters rallied, saying that Longegren needs to face a jury for killing Cobb.
And I just don't understand the injustices that are happening and how all this support of killing.
I feel like he has been wrongfully prosecuted or wrongfully charged. I think he did exactly what he needed to do, and I'm just here to support Ryan. He feels like a son. It could have been my son, just as easily.
The judge put two dates on the calendar: May 10th, which is when attorneys on both sides will start to share the evidence and documents that they've compiled over the last few months, and then June 10th. That's the next omnibus hearing. The new prosecution team will be in court for that hearing.
This morning, communities across the middle of the country are waking up to another day of cleanup after a weekend of destructive storms. More than 130 tornadoes were reported from Texas to Iowa, leaving dozens hurt and at least 5 people dead. And right now, Minnesotans are doing their part to help with relief efforts. The American Red Cross said 8 volunteers from the Minnesota and Dakotas region are helping in Nebraska and Iowa. Both Joe Reineman of St. Peter and Susan Sparling Mix of Plymouth flew out early Saturday morning. Joe has been helping with operations in Omaha, while Susan has been assessing the damage to help connect people with the resources that they need. Both of them plan to stay for the next 2 weeks.
The strength of the storms was unbelievable. Also, just the geographic extent of it. This goes from the middle of Nebraska to the middle of Iowa. So it's a big operational area.
Now, the Red Cross says there are many ways you can help, including monetary donations or becoming a volunteer.